Hello, welcome to the December 2025 astrology forecast. I think this month's going to be quite pivotal for the early quarter, the first quarter of 2026, as the information coming through at this point will be quite, it will sort of have an effect going forward as well over the next few months. So the month starts with like a deep reflection around relationships or finances as well. It could be considering our connections to others in all aspects of life, with Venus sextile to Pluto. So Venus can be about our connections to others. It can also be about money, and it can be about the beauty of life, the things we love, the things we enjoy. And this will be sextile to Pluto, which is about depth. It's quite intense. There's some interesting, obviously, information coming out in terms of how sort of women have been exploited and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be a big theme going forward as well. And that's on the 2nd of December that Venus sextiles Pluto. This could also bring up like deep soul connections. There's sort of like opportunity with the sextile as well. It can be about maybe like people from the past, like past lovers, or like soulmates and stuff like that could come forward. So there's that sort of potential. There's also this sort of potential to like for it to be about finances, finding new ways to make money, or something in regards to like beauty. So like beautifying ourselves or our home. Then just 2 days later, after that, on the 4th of December, there will be the full moon in Gemini, which similarly has themes of, like friendships, connections, how we communicate and connect with others. And this brings, like with the full moon, this is about some sort of completion. So this can be like about information and stuff like that coming out. Maybe the full facts are going to start coming out and unraveling at this point around some sort of situation. So this full moon is at 13 degrees of Gemini, with the sun in Sagittarius, so in the opposite position, which makes the full moon. But then this is going to be square to the south and north nodes. So it brings this sort of fated twist. And this is also going to connect to the sort of like eclipse season that we had sort of like September time, but also the eclipse season we're going to have next year around about February, March time. So there's just this sort of unraveling of information, of facts, of truth coming out, lots of information. Social media could be going like bonkers, and the media coverage of something. And there's lots of people like opinions being shared, and there's like this like energy of like tension building. So I can imagine this could definitely bring some sort of protests as well. People getting quite angry and aggravated about something. Yeah, I mean, on personal levels, this could be about a friendship or a connection coming to a completion. So whether that then moves it on to be, like if it's like a friend that becomes more, goes to like becomes a partner, or whether it's something that it's time to sort of like let go of a connection. There's no longer that connection there. Maybe for some it could be about letting go of that. Okay, so throughout the 6th and the 7th of December, there's the Grand Water Trine, which I've already posted about previously, and that will be playing out. It's been playing out since late October. It continues with Mercury in Scorpio, once again trine to both Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces, and then obviously it will move on to be trine to Neptune in Pisces as well, which is just a few degrees past Saturn. And Mercury now it's like completed its retrograde at that point, but still, so it's like direct, but it's still in its post retrograde shadow. So this could bring a lot of there's just this kind of like, when you've gone, something's had to be revised, new information coming out. It's kind of like this new idea to resolve. There's a resolved element to it. It's like trying to find the solution, trying to bring a completion to something. And with it happening just after this full moon, there's just so much about connections, communications, and that sort of thing. I mean, we also have to consider what's going on with, there's the certain war zones with like Russia and Ukraine, but with Gaza and Palestine as well. There's this trying to build a connection, trying to broker some sort of peace deal, those sorts of talks taking place. So there is something about those talks coming up that could it can connect to that. This could bring a lot of ideas and plans to commit to make those goals a reality. Whatever the narrative has been around this Mercury retrograde for you, there seems to be this like wishy-washiness around the facts and the information presenting itself gradually. This is about following instinctive, like gut feelings, going with the flow. Soon it will all come out eventually, but be aware if taking action now that you might not have all the information at this point. Try to avoid the crazy making, drip feeding of facts or playing detective, and try and because with Mercury in Scorpio, this can be kind of like almost like trying to be a detective, trying to figure something out without having all those facts. Something's not quite adding up. So try and just like slip into neutral. You don't need to know all the facts. Just go with what feels right. By the second week of December, as we move through December, there is a building conflict and more challenging astrological energy as well. So on the 9th of December, Mars is square to Saturn. And this is kind of, when you get in one of those rows where you kind of just butt in heads, it's quite stubborn with Saturn there and Mars. This can suggest like warlike military action, anger or action against rules, rulers, governments, law enforcers, that kind of thing. However, if you are up against a challenge, this is going to give you like real determination to overcome it in like a very organised and regimental manner, so that it gives you, it's like powerful when used correctly, dangerous when not used correctly, because it's quite a tricky square, Mars and Saturn. Mars is about action, Saturn's about like restriction. So it kind of stops you in your tracks from like getting there. But Saturn can also be, quite disciplined. Mars taking action in a very like disciplined, organised manner. It gets things done. On the 10th of December, Mercury opposes Uranus, and this could suggest dangerous storms, floods, landslides, even seismic activity that leads to tsunami, particularly with Mercury in the water sign of Scorpio. Neptune also stations and goes direct on this day at the late degrees of Pisces. So this also suggests there's issues around water. The seas, floods, overseas travel, immigration, that type of thing is going to be like very much looming large at this time. With Neptune right at the late degrees of Pisces, it's just some sort of water-based crisis. I mean, on a personal level, that can be just like little leaks, some problems at home, dripping taps, issues with boilers and all sorts of water-based things, like the washing machine breaking down, all sorts of stuff like that. But on a bigger scale, this could be, quite a significant seismic event that causes a tsunami. It could be like severe, very heavy rainfall, big storms, floods. It's going to be quite significant and wet. So by the 11th of December, Venus squares the north and the south node. So this is once again bringing that similar energy that we had around the full moon on the 4th. there's this need for boundaries setting. Really, it seems to be like there's something about boundaries, whether it's in regards to money and finances, or whether it's in like connections to other people and relationships, that type of thing. There's just this significance around, like the past and the moving forward. So this could bring people back from the past. It could be, there's just something quite significant, and there's possible that it could bring challenges to a relationship, or there's some sort of like fated twist, like destiny plays its role. Okay, so also between the 11th and the 13th of December, there's this like watering down of facts and information is addressed. As Mercury trines Neptune, which is about facts, communication, ideas that are tinged with sense of illusion or spirituality. It could be a bit woo-woo. Mercury moves into the sign of Sagittarius, where it's about depth and truth, but in a broader, otherworldly way. It's not a good placement for Mercury because it's in exile. It's furthest away from its home. It's in complete opposite placement from its home in Gemini. So it's known as fall. When a planet's in fall, it tends to have more negative outcomes to things. Then Mercury sextiles Pluto, which could really bring this like deep unseen truths to the surface. There's something a little bit like manipulating the facts, manipulating the truth with this Pluto. I know it's a sextile, but with Mercury in fall, there's something a bit, it's not as easy as like an opportunity. There's something, there could be an opportunity to speak up and make a change, which could be quite transformational, but it might not be popular, and it could bring uncomfortable truths out to the surface. So there's this little element of something going on there. And by the 15th of December, as we get towards the middle of the month, Mars enters Capricorn with the Sun squaring Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, just a few days after. So this brings a sense of like focused drive and ambition that is realistic and determined to a point, like to really put in that commitment. This could highlight a need to be like creative leader in an area of your own life that also requires hard work to overcome challenges. However, this could highlight a leader and their intent or focus and limitations in some way. It's possible that this is about real determination to maintain a level of peace or control over the war zones of the world. And this coincides with the end of the Mercury post-retrograde shadow period. And so a clarity, a real solution or like resolution should begin to come good, but it may require a lot of force. It seems like there's going to be this sort of like push-in force to get things moving forward. So then we get to the 19th of December, and this is quite interesting because we have the point where Three-Eye Atlas is meant to be at its closest to Earth as it travels through the solar system. It's still going to be incredibly far away. For those who are like fearing the worst, like it's far away still. Don't panic. But this could heighten the energy of disruption because we know that Three-Eye Atlas brings disruption. There's just this sense of disruption at this time, whether that's going to be disruptions to end wars, whether it's going to be disruptions to finances, but it just seems to be very mercurial based at this time. So it's like there's a sense of just information overload, like a lot of disruption in terms of what we thought was facts isn't facts. I think there's a sense of some sort of like spiritual awakening for some, but it could be just in terms of the world religions and how in some ways they've caused a lot of wars and problems, and just this kind of seeing beyond. I mean, for some it's going to be about extremism, and it's going to take their religious views to be like absolutely, like they think it's completely right and they're going to fight for that. But I think for a lot of people it's going to be kind of like eye-opening and seeing through a lot of the world religions in some way. Okay, so then we move on to the new moon in Sagittarius on the 28 degrees. That is on the 20th of December. Here in the UK, I'm not sure if it's the 21st for some people, but it's just before the solstice as well. So it's very close to a point called the galactic center, and this acts as it kind of adds to the energy. It's a point of awakening. It's about a new cycle, new beginnings. I mean, when you think about Sagittarius, it's about the bigger picture, the bigger truths, the things that we could just not really get a concept for. Just things that are like so beyond us, and new ideologies, new truths and beliefs, new mindsets. Okay, so with that, there's going to be an asteroid called Juno, which is very much about commitment and marriage and stuff like that, and also Venus close by this. So this could change monetary systems, values, and the things we commit to. This could also bring, like there's some sort of like, it feels like there's some sort of energy of like a new marriage or a commitment, because with the Venus and Juno together, it's kind of like brings that whole relationship vibe to it. This is significant new moon that squares Saturn and Neptune. So the Saturn and Neptune thing that's been playing out throughout the whole year and will carry on through the spring of 2026 is about the breaking down of old structures. It's about political systems and traditional religious beliefs that could be challenged and bring about change. So Neptune tends to think outside the box. It tends to be a bit out there, but it's about dreams and like bigger thinking. And Saturn is about like the restrictions, the limitations, commitments, stuff like that. So there's this new. It's like this new dreaming in a new plan, and Saturn is then going to make it real. So as the old breaks down, there's this new dream coming in, this new belief system coming in. Mercury will square the north and the south lunar nodes at this time. And this is about like, like with the north node in Pisces, that's kind of spiritual. And with the south lunar node in Virgo, which is kind of like the typical fact-based, pin it all on the science and this, that, and t'other. If you can't prove it, it can't be true. And the north node in Pisces is kind of challenging that. It's like, well, I believe it, I feel it, in my gut, I instinctively know, kind of thing. So this is about the truth from the past and the future, and it's kind of this could pose problems around like the dogmatic views, like world religions. There's something that's just about change. I think there's a lot towards like war zones and things coming up, but I think there's a lot about the old typical masculine people who were in charge and had power over people. And with Venus and Juno there, I believe there's some sort of need for maybe like a call for justice for the women who have been kind of abused and stuff like that. So yeah, there's this sense of something really new coming in, with it being like linked to that galactic point. it just the galactic centre, that new moon on the 20th, it just seems quite significant as well. Okay, so on the 21st, on the day of the solstice, and the return of the light, and the sun is square to Neptune. And once more, this could raise challenges to like religious leaders' beliefs, or those who are more spiritually attuned to the traditions of earth and the seasons and nature itself, could be highlighted. The sun enters Capricorn at 3:03 p.m. GMT time here in the UK, as we enter a season of preparation for the year to come. And as the cold bites and keeps us limited, and a sense of responsibility and hard work looms to see us through for the winter, the sun's focus is on governments, corporations, workplaces, and structures of power. There is this potential for some sort of financial shake as Venus squares Saturn and Neptune. So there could be some financial concerns, particularly through so this like late December, but also through the first few months of 2026. And I do think 2026 is probably going to financially have a bit of a financial shake up. So Venus squares Saturn and Neptune a few days later and moves into Capricorn on the 24th of December. So this could bring confusion around money, sudden changes in the values of currency. So currencies could face a bit of a wobble, and there could be a wobble on the global markets. There's just some sort of weird wobble financially. I mean, it could be about cyber attacks, safety online, particularly as we move into January in like 2026. Just before the month draws to an end, Mercury squares Saturn, which almost sums up the month. There is a lot of information and communication, stories playing out in the media, but a questioning around the real truth, the entire story, sorting the facts from the fiction, the hype and the spin, a sense of needing to get all the necessary information in order to plan for the future. So there's this sort of feeling like you're having to play detective, like nothing seems straightforward, having to figure it all out. People may be wanting to speak out and speak their truth, but with a tension around whether this is going to cause like some sort of conflict and some sort of fear of causing conflict, not wanting to create discord. Or you might even get some people who, on the other hand, do want to create discord, and they're saying a lot of stuff and they're making up a lot of so-called facts which turn out not to be true, but it feels like they're almost creating this conflict. So as this all plays out through like the micro and the macrocosm, as it's all like linked, this could play out on personal levels as well as global levels. Not wanting to offend a relative at Christmas, or just being like agreeable for the festive spirit, keep everyone all in good spirit. Could see the same energy applied to world leaders regarding their involvement with if they didn't speak up, were they complicit in some way, or whether they're trying to force some sort of peace deal, whether the peace deals are actually genuinely working out, or whether they're actually still just bombing each other, but it's not being reported the same way. I don't know. Although December looks to be a quieter month astrologically than November, there is a lot of it's big. There's a lot of noise from politicians and the media that seems to be controlling this drip feeding of information, and therefore it's like a need to draw back and not get caught up in the anger and the conflict, and this sense like to regain some sort of truth and sole purpose for transformation for the better in the months to come, to avoid the chaos and enjoy going with the flow. People could easily get swept up in expressing indifference. whether like religious, political, geographical. There's a sense of friction in the energy, and this new moon seems pivotal moment to plan ahead, starting over for in 2026 with a fresh new perspective. So avoid the chaos, slip into neutral, and just like enjoy the flow of the month ahead. Try not to get caught up in it all, and blessings for the month ahead.